Hello.
Hi there, Crystal. How are you?
Hey, I'm really well. How are you?
Good to see you.
If you all can't tell, this is our first Ask Me Anything, so we're not used to this.
Well, we've done similar things.
Yes.
We've done similar things.
Well, welcome everybody. I believe we're streaming on our Facebook and YouTube channels, and also on the Alan Steinfeld YouTube channel.
That's right.
So welcome,
Hello, Alan fans.
and Ascension One fans.
That's right.
So this is an Ask Me Anything. We intended to give people an opportunity to ask about not only anything that you'd like to know about Asil, his process, his journey, his perspective on the guides, but also we're offering our foundations course in April, and our pre-enrollment ends this Friday. So for those of you who are interested in what is foundations, what's the journey, you can ask those types of questions too. And I believe we already have a couple of those that are building. There's a question already in Facebook. So we're here to ask Asil anything. Ask us anything. And I'll
I reserve the right to not respond
right.
to anything.
I reserve the right to choose the correct ones that are appropriate for for Asil to answer.
Nah, I'm actually pretty chill.
Yeah.
So, we'll answer anything and everything that makes sense and is kind of relevant for the upcoming foundations course, as well as for the spiritual journey of awakening,
Mhm.
and also things that are like, curiosity, pure just curiosity pieces.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we have one right away, so maybe let's get to
yeah.
that
You want to
burning
get you want to
question.
dive right into it,
Let's just
Crystal.
dive right into it. I mean, it's ask me anything, right?
That's right.
Lucy's asking about becoming a pillar of light.
Mhm.
What is the duration of your training? And you mentioned that we do a meditation every day. Is it a recorded meditation? I'm interested to enroll. I think I'm ready, she said.
No, fantastic. Good job, Lucy. So, the Pillars of Light overall, it has three courses. The first one being Foundations, the second one being Level 2 or Ascent, and the third one being Level 3 or Summit. And so these courses normally happen within a span of 12 months. And the first one being Foundations. Foundations is 4 weeks long. It's going to be in April, pretty much starting on April 4th. Pre-enrollment closes on March 24th. That's this Friday. So becoming a pillar of light is a journey, and some people make it within this period of 12 months, and some people take their time over and they wait until the next cycle to complete it. When someone goes through the Pillars of Light program and all three courses, starting with Foundations, the being the first one, at the end of it, when they complete, they become what the guides call a pillar of light in service. So there is some form of an initiation that happens with everyone that's going through the third level course. An initiation to be able to request for energy and to be able to transmit that energy, that frequency to oneself, to a situation in life, to loved ones, to family members, to a circumstance. So that's basically it. And um, ultimately, it can be a short journey if you're just doing the first level, and it can also be a long journey. As long as you want to be part of this journey. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
daily
then the
meditation.
meditations. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so daily meditations. We have daily meditations. There are four of them that are recorded meditations, and there's one for the morning. There is one for the afternoon, and there's one for the evening. And what's the other one, Crystal? One is a lying meditation, right?
Yes, and laying down meditation, which is in the kind of afternoon as well.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the lying down meditation is a really interesting one. Uh,
Mhm.
Most people feel like they are being worked on, and there's all these procedures that are happening to them as they're lying down and experiencing this, like these out of body experiences. The other meditations are almost like quick adjustments and resets throughout the day, starting in the morning and closing in the evening. So it's really powerful to have these reset points throughout the day,
Mhm.
and they're anywhere from, you know, 3 to 5 minutes to 15 to 18 minutes. The lying down meditation is the longest.
Mhm. And also, these meditations are channeled. So these are right. Did you say that? I wasn't
I
sure.
did not say that, but you
Okay.
just said it.
Yeah. So so it's like what you might a little bit of what you might experience in a transmission.
Yeah,
It's got that same energy. It carries that same energy.
yeah. In this
Uh,
case, it was, I think, Emmanuel or Raphael. I think it was Emmanuel.
I think it was Emmanuel
Yeah.
because we had meditations in our first advanced course
Hmm.
that was called Base Camp, and there were only three of them. And
Hmm.
then when we went to design foundations, we
Hmm.
checked in with the guides, and the guide said that there's going to be different meditations, and so
Hmm.
mhm, yeah.
All
All
right.
right,
What
let's
else?
see. Well, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I would love to see
Um,
you there, Lucy.
yeah, come join us. It's going to be fun. Okay. Misha asks, I want to deepen my channeling with my clients in psychotherapy sessions and be confident about messages. Any suggestions?
Yes, do foundations. Um, so we have a lot of people that are practitioners that are coming to foundations, and what we notice and what we find is when people go through this intensified course, that there is a restructuring, almost a readjustment of all of their internal systems: mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual. And what happens is their gifts, their existing gifts, become stronger over time. So if someone is already a healer or a channel, or a medium or a vessel of some form, they become more solid in their work. The work becomes stronger. They become more confident in themselves because they feel the alignment that is established within themselves. So there is a stronger solidity, there's a stronger rooting, there's a stronger alignment that comes through in everything that you're doing. And that could also be, not just a spiritual practice with clients, but it could be being a parent or being a brother or being a family member or being a corporate leader or being a colleague. So there's many ways how the work and foundations will make you a better human in all life circumstances. I hope that answers your
Excellent.
question.
Let's see. Perfect. It answers my question, Asil.
Great, Crystal.
Gila is asking, why does my whole body vibrate when I'm meditating with you? It usually starts in my right foot, but then rises up through my body until my whole body is vibrating and twitching.
Oh, I love it. That's a great thing, actually, believe it or not. So that means your entire body. So imagine it like this: everything in this universe vibrates at a certain frequency. Everything does, right? So everything operates at a certain level of energy and frequency and vibration. So when we do these meditations and these transmissions, the guides are trying to get us to a specific frequency and vibration. And that is a very potent high frequency and a high frequency current that's moving through the field and through the group field. And this high frequency current is purifying. This high frequency current is aligning, it clears, it moves a certain, almost like a freshwater river through your entire system. There is nothing more beautiful than that, to have this high potency love of creation moving through you. And yes, it will feel a bit like electricity. For some people, it feels like warmth or heat or liquid honey. We've heard all kinds of descriptions of it. For some people, it feels like electricity or lightning. So there's many different ways in which it can be felt. And yeah, so it's perfectly normal what you're experiencing, and allow this vibration to move through and just breathe through it as it moves through. And eventually, your entire system will become more and more used to it. And with every breath, it'll be easier to allow this current to move through you, and it will have great effects on you.
Thank
Yeah, I'm
you.
so happy for you. It's
Yeah.
great.
All right. So Michelle Carey has a question. It's got a little bit of a buildup, so bear with me. I wish to participate in a group for soul growth that is relatively expensive for me. I feel afraid because I've tried so many things that don't deliver what I hope they would, and it feels like there's pressure for outcome because of the large financial investment. I'm afraid that I'll get myself into a corner trying to find a way to pay, feeling trapped and becoming overwhelmed in fight or flight, and the resolution not coming forward, and then it leads into shutdown. How does one change this pattern?
Hmm. So, am I hearing this right? So there seems to be some sort of a pattern where um, she spends money on courses and personal development and soul development, and then it creates like an expectation of some she's going to get something big out of it, and then it creates like this pressure of having spent money but not getting something out of it, or having to get something out of it, and it's kind of like almost detrimental to the experience itself. Is that
I
fair to say?
I think so. I'm not. If I were to speak for Michelle, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that there is a couple things here. We have to a little bit dissect it.
Hmm.
One thing is the money thing, right? So money is, everyone has a different level of access to money, right? So everyone makes, depending on what their social economic construct is, depending on what their age is, where they live, and so on and so forth, what they do. There's many different ways of how people make money. And and then there is a lot of courses and offerings that are out there that basically offer something um, based on a specific societal construct, that value is what they're offering. Now, in our case, we're offering everything that we are doing on a donation based model. So it is you choosing how much you're going to pay for it based on what you make and what you feel is appropriate for you. Now, when when you are setting a strong expectation of this is what I'm going to get out of this, and this is what I'm giving in terms of money, and this is the value that I'm putting into it, it creates like this pressure, and it's almost like a hook of forcing yourself and forcing the other side to deliver something of an expectation. And that can be tricky because expectations are narrowing the possibility of the future. Okay? So if you go into something like that, you have to release the expectations.
Mm.
You have to say, the fact that I'm in this already, I have already gotten my money's worth. Like, you have to really establish yourself in a way the fact that I've made the step to be here, I've already gotten what I paid for, right? And based on that, you release all the expectations and you start to open yourself up with a clean slate. And with no expectations, spirit has a way of building itself into the open space that you have created, a space of infinite possibilities rather than narrow possibilities of expectation. So that's what I would say. That's what I would recommend, to go into courses like this. And again, foundations is donation based, just letting you know.
No major financial commitment necessary. Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sawmill she says, if I become a pillar of light, will my electric bill go down? LOL. Very funny, Sawmill.
It might, you never know.
But she does have a serious question, which is, do the meditations in foundations, um, uh, do they have to be done at a rigid time, or can we do them when we can or as we can?
They're pretty flexible. The one thing that's recommended is the morning meditation to do when you wake up, the evening meditation to do when you go to sleep or before you go to sleep,
Mm,
right? And the lying down meditation at some point in the afternoon, and the midday meditation whenever you like, pretty much. So,
mhm,
but they're flexible and they're consciously constructed in a way, understanding that we live in a society where we have commitments and obligations and we have a schedule and we have calendars and we have people that rely on us.
mhm,
So it is established in a way that tries to meet everyone's needs in that
mhm,
regard.
mhm. Wonderful. Robin is asking, where in the world are you right now?
Me,
Yes.
I am in the beautiful town of Sonoma in Sonoma County. And it is a beautiful, tiny little dreamy wine town. Even though I don't drink wine, I love the environment here. And it's a really beautiful place for me to settle down for a hot minute. And I'm going to be delivering foundations from here.
That's right. It's Foundations Wine Country episode. Season Foundations
That's more like
Wine
something for
Country.
you, Crystal.
I know, I know. I'm more the wine person than he is.
That's right.
Free Drag's asking, could you recommend a suitable set of physical exercises to use on a daily basis? And then
Hmm.
he uses some Surya, Namaskar, Qigong. Is there a suggestion from the guides?
Well, the thing with physical exercise is that first of all, there is always an aspect of uh, liability for us to recommend certain physical exercises. Physical exercises are really connected to what physical constitution and your age and your preconditions and so on. So there's a lot of different variables about it. But if I were to say as general as possible, yoga is pretty widely accessible for any age and any body type. Like the yoga really can provide a variety of exercises to do that. Qigong and Tai Chi were also established to be able to be done by the full spectrum of people, right? So those two are pretty good. If I were to choose as general as possible, something that meets everyone, great. Walks in nature, absolutely fantastic and important. And if you're more the jogging and the running type, that you can extend it to that. Regular stretching and um, basically stretching and releases of certain parts of your body, especially when we are sitting in meditation. You're in a particular pose for a period of time. And if you're in a particular pose for a period of time, you need to stretch these areas that are holding you in that pose. So I have to do specific types of stretches on a daily basis in the morning and in the evening. And that's really an important part of my daily routine. I hope that answers the question. But the things that you suggested are actually pretty good in terms of choices. What makes a difference is consistency,
Mhm.
right? Most of the time we fall through with consistency, but I do believe that a regular, consistent practice trumps everything else, right? It's like if you can do something on a daily basis, you're going to be winning in every department of your life.
Well said, well said. And some people have experienced just opening up to an intention to be more in communication with their body, and they find that they can intuit what's best for them in that moment. And that's everybody from somebody who's a runner who opens to the listening to their body and is like, oh, actually, today I'm not going to run. I'm going to, as you say, do yoga, or I'm going to walk, or you know,
Mhm.
and there's a whole process, um, a self reflection process that gets triggered by that. So um, keeping it open.
Yeah, especially during the
Listening.
course, right? There might
Yes.
be some days where you feel so like tired for some reason, and you're like needing something else than what you've been doing on a daily basis. So,
Mhm.
especially during a course, it's good to be listening more to intuition
Mhm.
on what feels right.
Yeah. Okay. Noelle is asking, I just enrolled in Transmission Deep Dive, which is another one of our courses. It's an evergreen course. Would
Mm-hmm.
it be of benefit to complete some or all of this program before I start foundations?
Transmission Deep Dive is a long course. I
Mm.
think, as far as I remember, it's like 7 weeks. Um, I would recommend, if you're gonna do foundations, transmission deep dive, you don't have to complete by a certain time, so it can just be open and you can complete it after foundations, and you can just start whatever you want to start before foundations. But I wouldn't do transmission deep dive over foundations. Foundation is really a very, very potent and live experience with a community that you're going through,
Mhm.
and you can always do and continue transmission deep dive afterwards, after you've done foundations.
Mhm. Yeah, awesome. Gila wants to know, what do you enjoy doing outside of channeling, and what are your hobbies?
Oh, that's a sweet question. Thank you for asking. No one asks me these like personal questions. Everyone wants to know about the state of the world and angelic beings. Seal does for fun. So I love cooking, and I love eating and feeding people when I get the chance to do so. I love going into nature. Uh, I like going to the movies, believe it or not, like a real old timer. I used to love riding my motorcycle, and I kind of stopped doing that with some friends and into nature. And it was really a fun thing to do. In general, outdoor time, some outdoor exercise, um, getting together with friends, sitting by a fireplace or talking about life, stories, uh, getting a really good massage,
Mm.
going to Pilates.
Mhm.
Those
Okay.
are kind of like the things I like doing.
Excellent. A well-rounded being you are.
Oh well, it's pretty particular my life, in terms of the work that I do and that I deliver. It's kind of like shaped in a particular way.
Yeah. Well, how important, this isn't a question that's coming in, but how important is it for you as a person, like to have that balance between channeler and a seal, a human?
I think it's quite important. It's it's kind of like being enmeshed into my life. It's really hard to separate it anymore.
Mhm.
Like being a channeler and having consistent connection feels like it's becoming part of my entire life. Having a good balance is really important, and sleeping enough and having time just for myself. And but when I say I have time for myself, I'm never alone because I have always the connection, right?
Right.
There's always like, suggestions, recommendations, and things that come in. Ultimately, as a human, I feel like I am transforming to a place where all of this is like being a channel and channeler is becoming who I am. And even like feel the human equal is equaling being a channeler. So there's like no differentiation anymore. I don't
Mhm.
know if that makes any sense. It used to be more separate and like, I was on the clock, a channeler, and then I was still a human off the clock, but it's somehow becoming like one cohesive thing.
Yeah, like any of those superheroes, right? Spider-Man turns into what's Spider-Man's human name before he's Spider-Man?
Peter?
Peter. Yes. Yeah. Peter and Clark Kent,
Yeah.
Superman.
Good things you remember, Crystal.
I try. Let's see. Susanna is asking, in a wheelchair, how do you advise the physical part?
Mhm. I'm not an expert in that department, but I do know that there are individuals in wheelchairs that have physical exercise routines. And I'm pretty certain there is specialized knowledge and experts out there. Probably even, there's countless YouTube videos probably of people sharing things like that. Specific physical exercises for people in wheelchairs. There are some. I would highly recommend doing some of those that feel right to you.
Very good. And I do know that there have been people who have ambulation challenges, and they have no problem with any of our courses specifically, if that's what you're asking.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
true.
mostly about there's a focus on breathing and nutrition
Mhm.
and things like that. So not to
Why we
worry if that
keep,
question was about
that's why
foundation.
we physical exercise part as vague
Yeah.
as we can, so that it includes as many people as possible without any specific restrictions
Hmm.
around it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Oh, let's see. What else? What other questions? Michael says, almost every time I listen to a transmission, I fall asleep. I often feel well rested afterwards, but am I missing out on anything? I go back and listen later, but while doing something else.
Good stuff, Michael. So technically, it's not a bad thing to fall asleep, and you are not missing out, because I do believe that and we are told that the energy that is being delivered, the frequency, is being received on an unconscious, subconscious, and on a conscious. Now, when the current is really strong and your conscious part of your brain, of your mind, of your soul, is not fully able to receive all of it at once, what it does is it turns off the conscious part of your being so it can actually truly receive everything. Otherwise, it would be too overwhelming for the conscious part to just be blasted with this energy. So it turns off, so you receive it all, and then you wake up and you're refreshed, and whatever happened that integrated into your being. Now over time your conscious awareness stretches more into the subconscious and the unconscious parts of your being. And because of that stretch, you have a greater capacity to receive this energy and this frequency. So people over time are able to sit through all of the meditations and the transmissions without falling asleep. Now, it's not like one is not better than the other, but what I'll say is a natural progression over time that you don't fall asleep and you're receiving everything from a conscious awareness place.
Very good. Let's
Very
see.
good.
Very good. Good job. Um, Suzanne is asking, should I see the 4 transmissions? Are they like prep work for the course? I think she's referring to the fundamentals of awakening.
You know, they are actually really, really good transmissions. And if you have the time, we have a little bit of time, April 4th. If you have the time, I would take the time to listen to them and potentially experience them. And these transmissions are, you know, in some ways they are prerequisites. I wouldn't say they're mandatory, but I would say they're highly beneficial when you're entering the foundations course. You'll have an easier time to receive everything that's coming if you have done the fundamentals for awakening transmissions.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I believe he's referring to, because I remember you saying this too, he's referring to Sunday's Q&A on silence and presence. He said, you stated that you were left speechless after the last Emmanuel transmission. Can you elaborate further on why you made that comment?
I mean, sometimes after these transmissions, I'm left a little speechless. So the reason is you have to understand, like for me, in my experience, I am handing over this body and this brain and this consciousness to another consciousness. And so basically, what's happening is I'm handing it over and something else is taking over and they're working through me and speaking through me. I am an observer of what's happening. And as an observer, one doesn't do anything, one just observes. And then when they're done and finished, and I'm now in the driver's seat, I'm like, I don't know anything else but to observe. Have to return back into being a seal and being able to talk and being able to think myself. And it is a bit of a switch. And that switch doesn't always happen right away. So sometimes I'm like, what's happening? Like, who am I? And who are you guys? And what are we doing here? And what do you want me to answer? So it's kind of an interesting experience as a human to go through this trans experience. So it left me a little speechless. And also sometimes, you know, the things they say are just so beautiful and so deep. They touch me so deeply. It takes me a moment to really digest it before I can even speak words, which feel so rudimentary and so profane comparatively.
So there you go. He was speechless and
I was many times in my life.
mind blown.
Many times.
We did another channeling, or Asil did another channeling later on that day for
Mhm.
Ruben's
Ruben Langdon's
Ruben
interview,
Langdon's interview with
interview with, yeah,
extra dimensional, and that was pretty mind blowing as well. So
it was because
yeah.
his community had some really interesting questions.
Yeah. Let's see. Olga is asking, she says she has a spine condition. Can she do the morning and evening meditations laying in a or half sitting?
Absolutely. Yes. You can do
Perfect.
it in a laying or sitting. Um, yeah, absolutely. I'm just checking. Yeah, yes, the answer is yes.
That was a small request back and forth, a little
Yeah,
exchange.
exactly.
Let's see. Karen has a question. Let me roll back up here and find it. Thought it was interesting. She said, "What growth have you personally experienced from the beginning to now on your journey with the Elohim? And what's your experience regarding the possible growth of participants and humanity? My experience is that the participants and human collective grow, accelerate as I do."
Yeah, a great question. Thank you for asking that. So, on a personal level, I have I believe I have grown a lot. Like from my personal perspective of who I am today and who I was even, 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I'm a completely different person. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I don't really recognize the person that I am today versus the person that I was in the, um, you know, um, in the recent past. What I notice that's changing a lot is my capacity to hold myself in the face of challenge, my capacity to stay calm and aligned, and really in a neutral state of being emotionally and mentally, no matter what's happening outside of me. And having a consistent level of trust and consistent state of confidence in life and confidence in self. And that is connected also to love and self love and the love of others. So there is a sense, a greater sense of really having embraced all that I am and embracing all that others are. So it's becoming easier and more interesting to be a human being. Dare I say that? I'm enjoying being human.
Dare I say that?
So, um, being human is getting better. The second part is being a divine vessel is getting better. So, I'm becoming a stronger and stronger channel in terms of the energy that moves through me, in terms of the healings and the capacity that I can provide that's moving through me, that's getting stronger. So, I notice a consistent up leveling of my capacity and my delivery. The messages from the guides are becoming more crisp and more detailed and more precise. Now, when I look at how participants are growing, especially those that have been with us since the beginning, boy, I don't think they can even say they recognize themselves in terms of who they have become over this time
Yeah.
in a good way.
Mhm.
Like they have, some of them say, they have been able to face some really difficult life circumstances in such a good and graceful way, comparatively to who they used to be and how they would have faced those challenges if they weren't who they are. Some of them have become incredible spiritual practitioners, not because we're teaching people to become spiritual practitioners, but because they were called to do that, their soul desired to do that.
Mhm.
Some of them have become incredible corporate leaders as a result of that. So there's so many different elements of one's consciousness and one's being that adjusts to becoming a better human being, including spiritual gifts emerging, solidifying, strengthening.
Yeah.
So it is so manifold and um, so many variables of how we are impacted by this work. Hard to put it into like one small,
Yeah.
construct. But I do believe it has had huge impact in my life and in other people's lives.
Yeah. And I think that's what Karen is referring to, is that group collective experience,
Yeah.
right? Which is why a course and an advanced course like that we do it a cohort at a time. We do it, there's a beginning, there's an end. So there is a real feeling of we're in this together, we're focused together for 4 weeks. So yeah, Karen, thanks for bringing that up and thanks for that question. Ava's asking, when channeling, are the guide okay, when channeling, are the guides or you able to sense and pick up on energies, emotions, thoughts, etc. of those in attendance? Like, can you feel the hundreds of people that are online and what they're thinking and feeling?
Um, the short answer is no. And the longer answer is it's because of the agreement that I have with the guides. So if I sometimes of some of my sessions are hundreds of people at a time, and I'm going through, you know, healings, individual healings, group healings, collective healings, ancestral healings, everything is happening in a very condensed period of time. And if I were to feel everyone's emotions, thoughts, or even their traumas as I'm delivering this work, it would be completely overwhelming for the human side of me that is observing this. And so I only receive what I need to see and what I need to feel. And it's mostly very much related to a specific action that I need to take as a result of what's happening there. If the guides are delivering a particular healing on a certain person, all I am is an observer. It's almost like a neutral, unemotional, non judgmental observer of what is being done and what's happening. And frankly, it's actually better that way. It's much easier that way because I can then come back and I can function normally without having to process other people's emotions and traumas and allowing them to process it with the adjustments that they have received.
Mm, great. Excellent. Well, they are coming in fast and furious now. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go back to an original one that I skipped through, saving it for this perfect flow. Amanda asks, how often have you witnessed physical ailments or diseases resolve for participants in the programs or who are doing similar self realization work? Have you experienced anything like this yourself along your own journey? Parentheses, no expectations, just curiosity.
Yeah, a great question. Fantastic. And, while we can never make that claim, we can always look at what is experiential and anecdotal. And we have a lot of experiential and anecdotal evidence that people experience physical healing of different kind. And that could be anything from um, various different types of pains, um, energies or emotions, um, soul level things that are connected to physical manifestations. So sometimes physical illnesses and ailments that people are having are connected to emotional things, are connected to mental things, are connected to energetic spiritual things. And so when the adjustments are provided, those things resolve and the body starts to heal. It's almost like the body's self healing capacity is blocked by a certain energy that is within the system of the person. And when this energy is adjusted, then the body can actually reactivate in its self healing quality. So that's often what happens. And we have seen that many, many, many times. Um, in my personal life, I've seen it with loved ones, I've seen it with people that I've, within my family. I've done healings on people that were very sick and have come to a full recovery as a result of the healings. and people, including that were complete, you know, in disbelief or skeptical, which is perfectly fine, because I'm a natural skeptic myself. So skepticism does not change what is possible, because this work is not based on belief, right? It's not like, oh, I'll think positive and therefore I'll heal myself. This is an energetic adjustment that happens on a different level than the mental projection and the mental um, operations of our being. So the answer is yes, we've seen a lot of physical healing. And of course, that is only one small section of the great work of establishing a strong foundation. But physical healing is part of the physical alignment that we are experiencing, and that is necessary. Absolutely.
Hmm. Excellent. See, there's hope, but no expectation. Let's see. Somebody wants to know, when the guides come through, do you actually see them?
I often experience them as energy in a specific light, and um, they don't really have form or shape in the way we experience form and shape, but they do have a particular energetic signature and energetic presence, and often a certain type of color that comes along with them. So, and when they're speaking through me, when they're delivering the messages, very often the messages have, interesting enough, they have a visualization with it. So the messages that are being communicated through me display themselves in like a visual. So I have an entire movie that's playing in my head as the messages are being said, and it's quite magnificent. I wish I could share that with the world as these visions are unfolding with every word that they're saying, which also tells me that every transmission and every spoken word is so much more than just a word. There's an entire frequency, there's an entire story behind it, there's an energy behind it.
Hmm.
And that's really more than 90% of what is being delivered.
That's great. Yep, that rolls into another question that that somebody's having. That um, it's interesting. She's asking, Mary Hernandez, the angel within, is asking, how do you know if one is trans channeling the Elohim? Because she's been doing it, but I've been doing it, but it is more trusting that they are who you are channeling. Basically, I think what she's asking is, how do you know? How can you trust that the what's coming through you is Elohim energy, other than them announcing themselves?
Well, I'd say when you know, you know. And that's a simple answer. When there is absolutely no doubt, there is absolutely no doubt. So there is such clarity that this is a magnificent, a powerful, and a pure energy, more than the energy of Emmanuel, more powerful than the energy of Raphael and Michael, that I've channeled before I could reach the state of consciousness to connect with and to channel the Elohim. So it was a progression of increased presence, increased frequency, and increased light before I could connect with the Elohim. It wasn't just something that happened, overnight, but it was the result of um, years and years and years of intense practice and purification to be able to do it. So I have no doubt that it is what it is, and it is what it says to be. And also, in every word, in every sentence, in every transmission that they have delivered, not a single time there is a loophole of any lower frequency. There is not a single aspect of conditional energy or a lower energy or lower vision. It's always pure light, and it's always completely unconditional love. So that's how I know it is the Elohim. And it is good enough for me, and it's been good enough for thousands of people.
Excellent. Cher wants to know, what's your favorite meal and music genre?
Oh, wow, look at that. Favorite meals? Well, I like simple, healthy, and um, you know, steamed vegetables and.
That's not your favorite meal. Come on.
Okay, let me think. I don't know what my favorite meal is. I feel pressured. Okay, if I were to think about a favorite like sinful meal, I would think about a croissant. That would probably my most sinful thing that I would like. But if I were to think about my, you know, well nourishing, like acai bowls are like super nourishing and I really love them. And, you know, so that's kind of like, I don't know. Am I doing justice here? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
You said the word sinful, and everybody probably went,
huh? Yeah. What? Yeah, I like a good decaf latte with oat milk, you know, on a rainy day.
like today.
Exactly. In terms of music, um, modern classical, um, that includes modern piano, modern guitar, and mostly instrumental things are just my favorite, where I can just tune in and tune out. And that's kind of like my favorite way of experiencing music. But I can be pulled into anything that's, you know, where the energy is moving.
Man of many genres. Let's just put it that way, right?
Can be.
All right. There's a couple of questions about the meditation. So I'm going to ask. Um, Claudia is asking, is it possible to set an intention or advisable to set an intention for particular healing or realization when you're doing the foundations meditations? That's one question.
Hmm. You can, and you don't have to. And the reason I'm saying that is because there is a divine intelligence that's moving in order to provide this work in foundations. And we are trusting that this divine intelligence has a way of prioritizing what is the most important thing for you to realize in this next moment. And there is great intelligence that's really delivering every step by step. For me personally, setting an intention is a good thing, especially if you have a very busy mind, right? If you set the intention and the mind can focus on an intention, it helps a lot. But if you're able to actually come to a quiet place, it's better to just release any intentions, just have a clean slate and expanded space and watch what the meditation delivers and what the transmission delivers. And then what kind of realizations emerge from that place. You might find some surprises there, some good surprises,
Mhm.
and things that you didn't expect to come. And so play with both. If you're a person that's used to setting intention, keep doing it. No one's going to stop you from doing that. And at the same time, play around with what it's like when you don't set an intention and when you leave that space like a blank slate open.
Mm. Playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Safa's asking, can we do the wake up and sleep meditations laying down in bed?
You
You
can.
have to be sitting up, I guess is the question.
You can, just like the earlier question we answered.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I do recommend that because there is a tendency you could fall asleep.
Hmm.
And if you can receive the meditation before you actually fall asleep or as you already woken up, it's probably a good thing. um, and just get used to the idea of, I'm awake. Now I'm waking up. Now I'm sitting for meditation. I'm receiving a meditation. And it's not like this in between thing. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm still in bed and I'm kind of falling asleep. And I'm like, oh, let me just do this meditation quickly. Or, so it's kind of like a clear delineation of sleep time, resting time, and awake time.
Mhm. Excellent. All right. And so, Robin, and there was another question about this too. She's asking, what exactly is happening in the transmission, especially the transmission? What's the difference between a transmission in foundations or a Saturday transmission?
Okay, good question. Absolutely. So a transmission is multi-layered. There's a couple things that happen there. Um, one part is, spoken wisdom and a wisdom delivery. And that wisdom has more than just words, it has energy to it. And it impacts us on a conscious level, on a subconscious and an unconscious level. So there is messages of high frequency, of high vibration impacting a different way of thinking, different way of perceiving. That's one thing. The other thing is an energetic adjustment that the guides deliver on this entire group field of the people that are there. And these energetic adjustments are on a mental, emotional, physical, and an energetic, spiritual level. And these adjustments trickle down into all aspects of our being, and people feel the changes as they happen. Now, Saturday transmissions are pretty much a singular point of delivery. It's a complete experience within that one transmission. The Foundations course is multiple transmissions that are going much deeper and that are compounding upon the previous transmission, one upon the other. So, this compounding effect makes the course a much tighter and stronger container than a Saturday transmission. And in that sense, a course as a container where you are deep in it allows for deeper changes and deeper transformations delivered through the transmissions. That's what I would say. Um, it's just deeper, stronger, and more powerful, more potent. You will definitely feel the transformational effect of it at the end of the course.
Cool.
Cool.
I'm sure Robin has felt the deep transformation at the end of the course.
I'm
And
sure
some
she has.
people, I mean, it happens in all ways, right? Some people tend to experience more intensity in the beginning of the course. Some people experience more intensity at the end. Some people don't experience intensity until after the course.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of ways that people experience where the transmissions and the energy is translated into their experience. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. All right, let's see. We've got a couple more minutes. So let me just make sure I'm getting to the questions about foundations. Interesting. So Tony's asking, have you experienced in these classes other participants' counterparts that they channel merge with Emmanuel's energy? Or connect with them to bring messages in. So I guess he's thinking if somebody has a capacity or their channel is open to other entities or beings, is there like an interference or a merging or anything like that?
No, I have not experienced anything like this. And we've had many powerful channels within our courses. And I think the reason for that is that the guides that I work with are very particular and very precise, and they're absolutely non-compromising when it comes to what they're delivering and how they're delivering it. That frequency has to stay consistent and stable without any interference of any outside energy. So no matter how well intended the outside energy is. It's like they have one particular mission to deliver and one particular energetic adjustment to deliver. There's no compromise around it. The container is tight and tightly sealed. Now, do I sometimes feel that other people have energies that they work with? Yes, sure. I do sense and I do feel that people have connections, and it's really beautiful. And it is recommended that during that time of going through this course, to give these connections a pause. And the reason we're saying that is, you can always continue right after the course. But sometimes when you're going through a certain process, it's better to allow this process to really have the entire stage and to really give it the entire space to expand properly, and for the guides to deliver the work that they need to deliver in the best possible way. Again, without interference, without a second and third opinion, and so on and so forth. Things can get a little bit confusing and complicated when there's too many perspectives and opinions onto the same thing. So ultimately, it is a matter of trust, of course. Trusting us, you're trusting the guides that we work with, you're trusting these energetic adjustments, that they're in the best interest of your being and in the best interest of making you a better human being. So yes, you're trusting us, and we are doing the best we can to be trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And we are doing the best we can to be also trusting humans, as we are receiving and making sure this channel is as pure as it gets, that the delivery of the work is as pure as it gets, that there is an unflavored nature of this pure message and pure energy that is coming through. So our job as humans is to make sure that this is as pure as possible, and so that you can trust us and us as an organization and us, including the guides, to receive the best possible delivery for you.
Perfect. Yeah, I thought that was a great question to end on, because that is a curiosity that people have, is like,
Of course.
are the channels gonna be mixed?
Yeah, of
Right,
course.
and they are very specific. Jessica has a question for me. She's asking where in the world I am. Jessica, I'm about an hour due west of Asil. I'm in Sonoma County as well, closer to the Pacific Ocean. So I'm in California. And thank you for saying that I do such a great job.
Oh, you do, Crystal.
Uh, one last question for you, Asil.
Yes,
Was this fun?
it was great fun. Let's do it again. Let's do it
This
again.
was fun.
Was it fun for everyone that watched? I hope that was fun for you
Uh,
guys,
uh,
and it was informative
Fun
and
and informative.
great.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Uh, so we have one more Fundamentals of Awakening
Yes.
sessions. That's this Friday, March 24th.
Hmm.
And so I'm assuming that our amazing support team is putting links in the chats to where you can find the details for that event. As we had mentioned, those of you who have not yet pre enrollment ends at midnight Pacific time on Friday. So we'd love to have as many of you as possible get in before that deadline. And then those of you who have been approved and have not yet enrolled, you've got until next Tuesday. And then the window closes. So
For this
if you have,
foundation.
for this
Hmm.
foundations, yes. The window is always open, but this cohort is closing next Tuesday. So we invite you to get enrolled and start your meditations that everybody was referencing. There's lots of
Hmm.
references to meditations today, and you can start them as soon as you are approved and enroll. So
It's going
that,
to be a really good one. It's going to be a really
yeah,
potent foundations. And it's, I feel like It is the best and the most potent time to do it. The
Mhm.
Earth's energies are definitely rising stronger and stronger every day. It's like, people talk about solar flares, and people talk about, the stronger polarization in societies and so on. And these are all byproducts of the rising energies of this earthly plane. And there's no better time than to prepare and to practice greater alignment to be able to receive these rising energies rather than being destabilized by these rising energies. So, Foundations is that pathway, and we'll hope to see you there.
Yeah, thanks for all the awesome questions, guys. This was really fun. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Totally. See you soon.
Bye.